Hi, challengers. I am so excited that you guys are logging into the webinar. Yay. All righty. Now, I know this is, it may be a little bit trying for some of you right now because you just started and you are in day 3. So in the end, I know your headaches might be a little bit like insane and crazy, and I say that with love because right now you might be feeling like a really deep hatred for Briar and I, but I promise you that hatred will leave. I'll take the hatred for the first week because when you're coming off a lot of the caffeine from the coffee and coming off a lot of the extra added sugars, I know sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, what are these girls doing to me? So if you are experiencing like a lot of craziness with your headaches, what my greatest tip of life is to drink a lot of water, and you have to flush it out. You got to get all those toxins flushing. So make sure you drink a lot of water, have a lot of herbal tea. I just made myself a tea for the webinar, and guys, I just actually burnt my tongue too, so that's really great. This Starbucks cup, which is awesome, but it keeps everything so darn hot. Anyway, burnt my tongue. So if I'm talking funny, that's why. But yeah, so lots of water, lots of tea. If you are going through the Tim Hortons drive-thru, a lot of times I think that it's not necessarily loving coffee as much as loving the ritual. So if you're used to going through a drive-thru somewhere, I know I sent that out earlier, but the greatest thing in the entire world at Tim Hortons is a green and peppermint tea together. So I'm not a huge fan and lover of green tea. It's not like I drink green tea and go, oh, wow, that's the greatest green tea I've ever had in my life. No, I don't. But I get a large green tea, and I ask for a peppermint tea bag in as well. So if you order a large tea from Tim Hortons, they give you 2 tea bags, 1 green, 1 peppermint, and then order it with a little bit of ice. That is my greatest tip that I did not do in my kitchen right now, and that's why I burnt my tongue. So if you order it with a little bit of ice, any fast, you know, Starbucks, Tim Hortons, anything like that drive-through, they'll put ice in it for you, and then you can actually drink it. So that's a really great tip. There also is something that we sent out called Ticino, and Ticino is a coffee substitute. So it is from the chicory root, and it is phenomenal. It tastes like coffee, but it's not coffee. So there's different flavors. Mine that I love is the vanilla nut. There's a hazelnut blend. Usually you can find them in, most health food stores will carry Ticino. You can get it online if you can't find it near or close by to you. But even more like higher end grocery stores are carrying it now because it's pretty darn common. A lot of times people are coming off a lot of excess coffee. So really awesome, and you can still get that coffee flavor. Oh, the other day I had a Ticino and I put in my new favorite cashew milk. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there's an unsweetened cashew milk. It's really creamy in taste. Make sure that you get the unsweetened because just the regular is sweetened, so you won't want that one. But anyways, okay, on to the greatness. The webinar is about to begin. For anyone that is just logging in, as I see kind of a mad dash of people trying to get in, there is a chat section along the top. Type in any questions that you have. I'm going to cover it during the webinar. Just make sure, again, that you send it directly to me, to the host, and I will get it going for you. So, guys, again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving it your all these last couple days. And I know that it's a challenging time at the very beginning, but once you wrap your head around it, it gets much easier, and I promise you. That's why I'm really so head over heels in love with having the webinar early on, because then any questions, concerns, any of that, we can clear up right away so that you are on such a straight path for the rest of your 56 days. So guys, the very first point that I want to recap is sugar. Now, I know we talk about this a lot, and I want to touch on it again, but I want to touch on it again because it's so dire important. I cannot stress it enough. This is it. This is like the gigantic, you know, elephant in the room that no one wants to talk about, and that's sugar. So again, we do not care for challenge-friendly purposes. Challenge-friendly, keep remembering this in your brain. The definition of challenge-friendly means whole foods without any extra added sugar. So it's the added sugars that we care about, not the sugar that is in food. So you have a banana, there's sugar in there, I don't care. You have carrots, that question came up the other day. What about carrots, Bon? Are we eating carrots? Yes, eat your carrots, who cares? My theory about carrots, guys, the explosion of health problems and obesity in North America today is not directly linked to our carrot consumption. Just saying. I know you're laughing at home right now. Okay, so now any of those sugar words, these are the ones that we're going to look for. So again, flip over your ingredient list, and you are always going to be looking through your ingredient list. It's always laid out the exact same manner, from the most to the least, always in that product. So you know the first couple ingredients is primarily what that product's made of. So these are the sugar words we're going to look for. Glucose, fructose, high fructose corn syrup. That's a no-never for the rest of your life. I hate high fructose corn syrup. Also, brown rice syrup, sugar, brown sugar, honey, agave nectar. Get ready. Agave nectar is in a lot of natural values products, and it's in a lot of healthier products. So if you're in a health food store, a lot of times you'll see agave nectar. Coconut sugar, that's a new one. Coconut sugar has been on the market, I would say, pretty hardcore within the last year. They're putting in a lot of granolas and things like that, so no to coconut sugar. Also, again, evaporated cane juice, maple syrup. I don't know if I've got that on my list, but I'm saying it out loud so that you're staying away from it. Also, artificial sweeteners, aspartame, sucralose, both of them. Those are both no-go. I don't want you to have them. Now, guys, when you eat food that has real sugars in them, what happens is your body registers that and goes, oh, you know what, I feel pretty satisfied. It releases a hormone called leptin. That leptin gets released and your body says, no, I'm satisfied, I'm good, fantastic. So you can stop eating. That's what your body is supposed to do. When you have artificial sweeteners, even though there is no caloric value on those sweeteners, so even though there's no caloric value on aspartame, there's no caloric value on sucralose, what happens is your body consumes these products and then it never registers that you've actually had anything. So you could be having, you know, some people, a lot of times you'll see it with diet pop drinkers or diet sodas, diet drinks, diet products with a lot of the aspartame, sucralose, a lot of the artificial sweeteners. Your body drinks it, eats it, whatever, and it never registers that leptin response. You never actually release your leptin to say, hey, I'm feeling good, I don't need any more food. So what do? You want more. Now also, I hate to say it, but a lot of the, diet pop, diet drinks, things like that, they pair a lot of sodium with it as well. So the combination, the chemical compound of the artificial sweetener and the sodium together plays a crazy, crazy trick on your brain, and it dehydrates you and you want more. So, thank gosh, they're smart. They know exactly what they're doing when it comes to putting food products together. It is a chemical equation they're putting together. So if it's a chemical equation they're putting together, let's not drink it. So that's my theory when it comes to any type of diet product. So again, you flip over your ingredient list, read those words, and it will again reconfirm in your grocery store if that product is challenge friendly or not. I see 2 people that just logged in right now. Guys, again, challenge friendly, just giving a recap. Challenge friendly means whole foods with no added sugar. Whole foods, no added sugar. So when you are shopping, when you're eating out, when you are going out for fast food, when you're going out for a tea with your girlfriends, when you're going out for drinks with your guy friends, I want you to tell yourself in your brain, ask that question again. Is it a whole food without any extra added sugar? If you can answer yes, it's challenge friendly. So that's where it's simple. That's what I really want to kind of convey during the webinar today. So just to break the sugar down a little bit further, I know we have talked about it till we're blue in the face. I'm going to give this example because I want to give a really real-life example next. So again, the values that I say never look at. So there's the box that we're looking at right now. So that box, I don't know if I've got a little clicker pointer here. You probably can't see my mouse, but I'm pointing to the box. When it comes down to your nutrition facts, see how it's broken down? Obviously, this particular box says 26 grams of sugar. This nutrition facts was taken off one of those fruit bottom yogurts. You know, a lot of the fruit bottom yogurts, The fruit bottom yogurts, guys, is all added sugar, just saying. So a lot of times those fruit pieces aren't even fruit. It's like weird. They'll call them like blueberry bits in the ingredient list, which is not so. That there's no blueberries in a lot of the, the blueberry products. It's blueberry bits with food coloring, which is crazy. But anyways, that's a different tangent that I'm not even going to get to right now. But when it comes down to your sugar grams, take your sugar grams, divide by 4, and it will tell you how many teaspoons were added. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. How many teaspoons of sugar is in that product. The reason why I needed to correct myself there, because guys, with the way the box is laid out in this particular manner, ideally, lobbyists are fighting really hard for this, and in North America, it's still laid out this way. Ideally, what we would love to see in the end is that, see where it says sugar grams, I would love, love, love it to say naturally occurring sugars, 4 grams. Added sugars, 22 grams. And that's really what I want. Actually, I have to, oh goodness, Briar's calling me right now. She doesn't realize I'm doing the webinar. So I'm trying to like ignore her call, but she might still keep calling in. Okay, so when it comes down to the sugar grams, you divide that by 4, it will tell you how many teaspoons of sugars in that product. So, okay, get ready for this example because you're gonna go crazy and you're gonna love it and hate it all at the same time. Okay, you guys ready? Yes, okay. Wow, I put that on there because I need you to really wrap your brain around this. So let's pretend typical day, you know what, I'm just popping through Starbucks and I was grabbing a caramel macchiato because who doesn't love those? I was grabbing a caramel macchiato and a bran fruit explosion muffin because it says bran and it says fruit explosion. So the idea that the bran and the fruit seem weirdly like a great option, this is what it looks in terms of sugar. So looking at 41 grams of sugar for your caramel macchiato, looking at 36 grams of sugar for that crazy bran fruit explosion muffin where you felt like you were doing something great for yourself. And what does that equal? The reason why I put the image up there is so that you can actually get a visual. Guys, we never get a visual. We'll drink these coffee drinks or we'll have our muffins or whatever, but we're never actually equating that to what is it? How many sugar cubes is that? Like, it doesn't make any sense when it's sugar, guys. So if you look at that, that's 77 grams of sugar, 77 grams. And you go again, how am I ever getting that in my real life format of teaspoons? Take that, you divide by 4. And what do you get? You get almost 20 teaspoons of sugar. That's nuts. That's craziness. That's all wrong. So if we were to take, let's pretend I had my tea. Okay, so I've got my tea, and then it would be me adding in, well, for this particular one, it'd be 10 for your caramel macchiato. It'd be me adding in 10, and then for my, muffin I made at home or whatever, what have you, just per muffin would be another, say, 9 teaspoons of sugar added on top, and then you eat it. That's craziness, just crazy. So the reason why I wanted to show that example is so that you can really start to equate what that looks like in terms of food, which I know you guys, you're bang on right now. You are just starting the challenge and you're excited and just your eyes are opening up to the whole world of challenge-friendly food. So I just wanted to give a little bit of a visual and go, wow, that's nuts. Okay, so again, in our recap, the first thing that we're going to look for is sugar, sugar, sugar. That's your first recap. Now, the next thing that we're going to be looking for, again, these are your grain words. We love grains. I do not want you to omit grains altogether. Grains, again, gives a lot of nutritional value. It needs to be whole. So it needs to be whole. You do not need to stay fully away from grains. I don't want you to go crazy on them, but you don't have to omit. So when it comes to your whole grain, again, looking at your diagram, remember, there is your outside bran layer. You have your inside endosperm and a little germ. That is what's classified as your whole grain. That's what we are in love with. You need that bran layer. The bran layer will help you go to the bathroom, guys. When you are just having words like, okay, look through your words again. Your words that say enriched white flour, bleached flour. Those are all stripped. That bran layer is removed, and all you're left with is that endosperm. It's that white, cakey, gummy, gooey mess, guys, that I don't want you having. You need the bran layer in order for it to sweep through your intestines. Otherwise, what will happen is our bellies start to distend and distend and distend, and a lot of times people are thinking, why? Why is that going on? It was all stripped. We're just left with that, again, that endosperm, the white, cakey, gummy, gooey mess, and we're not actually getting rid of what we need to get rid of. So that's where I really want you to look quite hard at that. Oh, sorry, guys, I'm seeing a question here, and it probably came up before. The question came up, what about stevia? This is back to our sugar words. Stevia is a yes. Stevia is from the stevia leaf, it is, I guess you would say a natural sweetener. Stevia does not affect your blood sugar levels. It does not. So yes to stevia. Now, on a side note, because again, I question everything, now that manufacturers are big companies like Coca-Cola, not that I'm knocking brands, but just to give an example, Coke and Pepsi, they're kind of latching on to the idea that their product is really going to start to decrease in sales because it's affecting the health of the entire globe. So what they're doing is trying to come up with new products that have stevia added to it. I saw a yogurt the other day that on the outside of the yogurt, it said, no sugar added, stevia used, or something like that. That seemed like, wow, that's got to be challenge friendly. What that is, I flipped it over. The second ingredient was an artificial sweetener. The last ingredient was stevia. So don't be fooled by the marketing either. On a side note, again, with the stevia, when I'm going back to my idea of kind of the big box companies getting to really know that their product's going to go under, or at least go down in sales, they got to come up with something else. So stevia, they are making, I saw the other day, they're trying to make pops out of stevia. There's also something called, I think it's Zevia. I think it's Zevia. Zevia, I don't know. Anyways, regardless, it's a drink that has stevia in it. My only thing when it comes to that is if you're drinking something with stevia in it as well, stevia does not elicit that leptin response that I spoke about before. So stevia still a yes, you can have it. It kind of has like a weird artificial taste to it, so if you like it, you can have it. But again, just remember to not over-consume food. So it gets a little bit dehydrating. Ideally, I love you drinking water, but to change it up a little bit, one of those stevia drink things, that's fine. Just make sure there's no extra added anything else in there. But I hope that answered your question. Again, guys, for anyone that's just getting into the webinar right now, if you have questions, type into that chat box, and I will try to get to it and actually look down at my screen, so I will get to the questions. So going back to our white flour business, make sure that the grains say whole. Now, when we're looking at grains, sorry, I think I just skipped past one of my slides. Hang tight with me for 1 sec, guys. I deleted one of my slides. Okay, when it comes to your grains, this is where it comes to your manual. Your grain choices are on page 10. You do not need this manual right now, but I just wanted to say, this question came up earlier on this week. How many grains am I having in a day? It's different for a male and a female, and again, it's on page 10. For our female challengers, you will notice it says up to 3 servings of grain in a day, and for our male challengers, it says up to 4. The reason why we put up to is because if you don't hit it, if you only had 2 grain choices in that day, we're cool with that. That's totally fine. If you were, maybe you had a slice of toast in the morning with your breakfast, maybe you had some quinoa with your lunch, and you're done. You don't want any more, you don't have to have any more. It's different when it comes to your protein, which I'm going to talk to next. So when you are looking at those grain choices, if you are having a bread serving, so if you are having, say, a slice of bread, like I just said, if you were having 2 slices of bread with a sandwich that you made for lunch, count that as 2 grain servings. Don't count it as 1. So every bread choice counts as 1, which also brings me to the point. I don't want you to get stuck on the idea that you're having bread product after bread product after bread product. When I'm saying grain choices, guys, there is, oh my goodness, there's quinoa, there's brown rice, there's buckwheat, millet, kamut, spelt, there's all different types of grain, and I don't want you to just get stuck in bread and pitas and all of that. Change it up. Like if you had say you had toast in your morning for your breakfast, I wouldn't pick another bread product throughout the day. I might have another grain, but it might be some brown rice, it might be some quinoa, it might be, you know, a cracker. Try not to just always keep going back to your same bread products. So I want you to keep trying to change that habit a little bit, just to keep trying to try other grains, if that makes any sense at all. But definitely keep looking for those words when you're reading through your ingredient list. And my last little trickery word in there is the word wheat flour. And remember, wheat flour is white flour. It's identical. So do not be fooled by that. It happens every single challenge where people are confused by that. Now, on to our protein choices. For your protein choices, when I say protein, remember, it is not just meat. That is a question that comes up all the time. How am I going to eat meat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Good God, please don't eat meat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I want you to change up your protein choices. So when we say protein, protein means eggs. It means, here's our list over here. I just jotted down some of them. But there's beans, there's chickpeas. I'm going to go back to the visual. I'm a visual learner, so I want you to see the picture. Look how many wonderful protein choices there are on the left-hand side of your screen. There is beans, there's lentils, there's black beans, there's kidney beans, chickpeas. Eat it up, guys. I don't want you to get stuck with just, you know, meat, red meat this, pork chops that. Like really try to change it up as much as possible. Now also, there is salmon. You can have tuna, you can have shellfish, lobster, crab. With your lobster and crab, you are not dipping it in butter sauce, guys. So again, people go, why am I having it if I'm not going to drink the butter sauce? On a separate note, butter. This is what butter is not. Butter is not a spread on bread. Butter is not a topping for vegetables. And butter is not a dip. That's what butter's not. But if you needed to bake with a little butter, I'm cool with that. So if your recipe calls for, say, half a cup of butter, usually what I like to do is cut that in half right away. So if your traditional recipe for a muffin that you make, you know, right now, or banana bread per se, cut that in half. So I would use a quarter cup of butter, and then I would make up the other quarter cup with, say, something like applesauce. You can use a coconut oil. So coconut oil, you will notice, looks a little bit weird. It is solid at room temperature, and traditionally you might think that looks bad. That actually is great, and coconut oil is a medium chain, wonderful fatty acid, and it definitely bakes well, and it sautés really well. So that's a stable oil that I'm in love with. But if you want to exchange out your butter for a lot of coconut oil, at Costco they sell a really large container. Darn it. I already got some of my products that I wanted to show you, but I forgot to take my coconut oil out of the pantry. So anyways, if anyone's dying to see what it looks like, if you haven't seen it yet, type in your chat box and I'll go run into my pantry and grab it. But again, eggs is a wonderful choice. I'm going to skip to a question that came in about eggs. A question that came in about eggs said, how many eggs is classified as one serving of protein? Guys, if you are having eggs for your breakfast, lunch, or dinner, which is like your main, kind of like your main meal, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, I would have 2 eggs. So if I was scrambling up some eggs in the morning, I would have 2 scrambled eggs. If I was going to have a snack and need a protein choice as a snack, I would have 1 hard-boiled egg. So if that makes any sense whatsoever. So breakfast, lunch, or dinner has 2 per serving of protein. For a snack, I would have 1. You're totally great with that. Now, when it comes to our protein serving sizes, what I would love to suggest is for our females, I want you to have at least 3 servings of protein per day. For our male challengers, try to hit at least 4. And the reason why we state at least, it's different than the grain. Remember, with the grains, we said up to. With our protein, it is at least. So if you are hungry, if you're feeling like, man, I want a little bit more, I feel like I can have a little bit more, go to an extra protein choice. So have a little bit more salmon. You can have a little bit more ground turkey with your ground turkey burgers. You can, have another egg if you want to, but you can have a little bit more protein would be a better choice than just loading up on too much grain. So that's awesome. Also, guys, try if you can to stick to the red meat once a week idea. How I gave the option of all those different types of protein before, when it comes to your lentils, your beans, your chickpeas, all these wonderful protein choices that are so darn easy for your body to digest, I'm in love with. So having red meat every day, isn't the greatest thing in the entire world. So I would try to pull back a little bit with your red meat choice. Oh, a question came in the other day as well about pork. Can you have pork? Sorry, guys. You could have pork. You could have pork chops. You are staying away from bacon. I'm a real hater of bacon. I don't want you eating bacon, and I don't want you eating even turkey bacon. It's all processed. It's garbage. Just don't do it. Canadian bacon. I'm Canadian. Still no Canadian bacon. You forget the bacon. But if you needed to have a pork chop, eat a pork chop. But I would classify that into your red meat for that week. So, I wouldn't overdo the red meat. Now, also, you'll see on this list hemp seeds. Okay, hemp seeds look like this. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm cheap, so these are from the bulk barn. Hemp seed hearts is the heart of the hemp seed. They are magnificent in protein. They also have iron. Oh my goodness, I can't say enough about hemp seeds. They are fantastic. Hemp seeds is the easiest way to get in a little bit of extra added protein. The question always comes up, what are we doing with our protein powders? Guys, I don't take, per se, I don't have a protein powder that I take separately. I get it from a whole food source. So for me, I add two heaping tablespoons of hemp seed into my smoothie, and that gives me my protein. My husband adds in 3 heaping tablespoons into his smoothie, and my kids, I will add in 1. So really, it's just trying to get in some really great digestible complete protein, and hemp seed hearts is a complete protein. For any of our challenges that are vegan or vegetarian, you can count hemp seed as a complete protein, a complete protein choice. So yes to your hemp seeds. If you are needing a protein choice with your lunch and you're like, darn, I have nothing in my salad, I've got no eggs, I've got no chickpeas, I've got no grilled chicken from the night before, I don't have a can of tuna, what the heck am I gonna add in? Add in hemp seeds. They don't really have a taste to them. They almost resemble a little bit of like sesame seeds in a way. They have a little bit of a crunch. So I would add again 2 to 3 tablespoons of hemp seed hearts into my salad to give yourself your protein. Same thing with dinner. If you're looking for a protein choice, throw it in there. You're good to go. Now, next I'm going to go through actually building your plate. The reason why I want to review this is because sometimes at the beginning of the challenge, there's a lot of things that could be new to you, and not a lot of new foods, and kind of a different way of eating. So the reason why I put this visual up is look at it. Look at that plate, guys. On the left-hand side, see where it says your non-starchy vegetables. So typically what I love to do for my dinners, I'll take my plate, I will cover half my plate with some type of raw salad. So it could be a salad, it could be, some steamed vegetables. Ideally, I'm not a huge salad lover of eating it 24/7, but if I make it, I put it on my plate. So if I make it, my family eats it. If I don't make it, no one has it. So I always say, just make it. Force yourself to make a salad minimum once a day. So with your dinner, put it right on your plate, because then our plates weirdly became these big, huge chargers, like gigantic plates over the years. But like back in like the 80s, our plates were, they're probably the size of our regular like small plates was what our plates have become. But anyways, take your salad, put it right on your plate, and then what I do is I take my serving size of my fist of protein. So when I say protein, remember, That does not mean just meat. So maybe I had lentils, maybe I had eggs, maybe I had some, oh my gosh, make it, the lentil pate that is on your My Challenge page. It's underneath your lunch section. Make it. I'm forcing you. One time, guys, one time during the challenge, you have to make it. But that lentil pate, you might have that as your protein choice with your dinner. You could have, chicken, turkey, salmon, whatever. I would have the size of my fist, and then I would have another, say, steamed veg on the side, or you could have a grain. So for a quarter of your plate. So really look at that when you are putting your food together, putting your meals together. Look hard at it, because it will make sense when you are forming your dinners. If you were to make a lasagna, so again, this question comes up constant. If I was having a lasagna, what does that count for? Now, in your lasagna, you have some type of noodle, unless it was made from, oh, I should have shown you. I had for dinner tonight, I made zucchini pasta, and all it is Briar and I, the 8-Week Challenge has this, you know, these slicers, the julienne slicer. So I took my zucchini and I went like that with the julienne slicer, and I made my own pasta out of zucchini. It's phenomenal, but anyways, that's a side note. I'm going to post that recipe because you will be in love with it. But anyways, traditionally lasagna has some type of lasagna noodle. The brown rice pasta lasagna noodles cook up beautifully, so you can get a brown rice pasta lasagna noodle. Make your lasagna just like you regularly would. Make sure the whole darn thing is covered with sauce, because if it is not, your lasagna noodles will not cook. So cover the whole thing with sauce, and then cover it so that it is steaming in there and cooking. And it will give you directions on the package, but I can't stress it enough about the pasta sauce, because otherwise it will be dry and disgusting. But anyways, you cut yourself a square of lasagna, which is going to be, again, the serving size of your fist. It's not this big. Have it be this big. And your plate your salad right on your plate again with your lasagna and some broccoli. That's how your plate should look. Not a gigantic plate of this lasagna, because you will eat your entire lasagna for dinner. That lasagna should last you. That lasagna should probably be about 8 servings in there. So a lot of times it's just an overconsumption thing. So that's when it comes to putting your food together. Now also, when you are putting your breakfast together, if you look at your breakfast and go, okay, I know Bon wants me to have some type of protein in there. Like I said before, you can add your hemp seed hearts if you're having some type of granola. Add in some nuts in there. You can also add in, I am going to leave, but not right this second, but I am going to leave because I want to show you something. But there is something called this. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's this key cereal, QIA, and they are, this one particular one here, sorry, I was showing you the French side, says creamy coconut. It is an oatmeal that I am in love with. I was just away at a hockey tournament with my daughter on the weekend, and I brought these in the hotel room. So she had them too. She's 10, so if a 10-year-old's gonna eat this, we can too. So this year, all I do, you just put some hot water into it, stir it up, you're done. But for me, I like to dress it up a little bit, so I added in a little bit more cinnamon. I also had this, and I needed to show you guys, and it's called cacao nibs. I don't know if you can see that, but cacao nibs is really, I wish I could show you. It's not gonna, you're not going to be able to see it very well. It's raw cacao. That's what it is. Guys, chocolate or raw cacao is not sweet. So when you eat chocolate, when you eat a chocolate bar, even when you eat those 75% chocolate, 25% is sugar and dairy, just saying. But anyways, the raw cacao, you will notice it's not that sweet, but it still has that little bit of chocolate flavor big time. Or you can add in, I think I said cinnamon, that's what I did. Oh, also, add in extra coconut. I love coconut, so I get those big shredded pieces of coconut that are really big because I love coconut, and I dump that on top, and then I chopped half an apple. So I can't tell you how quick and easy that is. In the morning, phenomenal. If you were at home, awesome. But traveling on the road, if you're hotel living, guys, so super duper easy, and every hotel room has those coffee makers, and I just, you know, do the hot water, not the coffee, but I just do the hot water, put it in a cup, and then I dump it into these little travel size things. But really great. I can't stress it enough. But for your breakfast, that's an awesome option. Now, also for your breakfast, I love to pair two things, which is back to my hemp seed heart. So I pair this with these chia seeds. Now, chia seeds, I'm trying to get the visual there so you can see it. Chia seeds are fantastic fiber for going to the bathroom. Chia seeds have calcium, and chia seeds are loaded, ridiculously loaded with healthy fat. So chia seeds, chia seeds, chia seeds. So in my breakfast kind of concoction, I'll add in 2 tablespoons of hemp seeds, 2 tablespoons of chia seed. Sometimes I'll put in some oats. Sometimes I don't have oats. Sometimes I'll dump in kamut puffs. Sometimes I don't even have that, so it's just those 2 things. Maybe with some unsweetened dried cranberry, because you can get that. You can get it at some bulk stores. You can also pick it up at Zehrs. Some health food stores carry it as well, but look for it. You will see that it is sweetened with apple juice. They're just soaked and dried in apple juice so that it has a little bit of sweetness to it, because cranberries, pure cranberries, are very, very tart. So just saying, those unsweetened ones with the apple juice are challenge friendly. So I dump those into my bowl in the morning with a little bit of that cashew milk that I'm in love with right now, or a little bit of your rice milk or almond milk. Just make sure that your almond milk and your cashew milk says unsweetened. It has to be, because all the rest of the just original has cane juice added to it. So that's kind of my breakfast. Oh, also, I'm getting excited because I made this yesterday. It was egg poppers, or a little mini egg pops. I don't even think I'm calling that right, but it was, I'm going to put that recipe together for you guys as well. But what it is sauteed up veggies, so whatever you have. I had onions and red pepper, so I sauteed them up in a teeny bit of olive oil, and then put that into, like, you know, your regular muffin tins. I've got one that's a silicone muffin tin where nothing sticks to it, but anyways, dump it in your muffin tin, and then I scrambled up some eggs, and it was just eggs and my cashew milk. You could do eggs and water. You can do eggs and nothing. Doesn't matter. Scramble it up, and then just pour it into your muffin tin. And then I sprinkled mine with some feta cheese and some spinach. And then the kids, I left out the spinach because they didn't want it, and I shredded on some goat's mozzarella onto theirs. And then I just popped it in the oven, and gosh, it was cooked in like 15, 20 minutes at like 400. So anyways, in love. They also freeze. So you could take them. I made them for dinner because that was as good as it got. So we had them for dinner, and then I made a ton of them. So I had leftovers, keep them in the freezer, and then I can heat them up in the morning for the kids before they head off to school. Or when Briar and I are on the road, because we travel pretty much every day, it's like, get it, go, get into the car, and off on our day. So that's great breakfast ideas. Also, your smoothie is a great breakfast idea. I'm going to keep this visual up while I start to answer some questions. So, guys, this visual is the greatest, most powerful visual that I want to leave you with, because that is going to help reconfirm what you're doing. You are doing phenomenal. And looking at that, saying that's how much space 5 pounds of fat takes up in your body comparative to 5 pounds of lean muscle tissue. And you might go, well, I thought that I've heard in the media that muscle weighs more than fat. Now, guys, listen, this is going to make a lot of sense. 1 pound of feathers weighs the same amount of 1 pound of lean muscle tissue, lean muscle mass, because 1 pound is 1 pound. It's the space in which it takes up. So if we looked at 1 pound of lean muscle, it's condensed, it's small, it's taking up teeny, teeny, teeny bits. But if we looked at 1 pound of feathers, it'd fill my whole office. So that is really what I want you to picture. When you're looking at visceral fat, that's what that picture is. When you're looking at visceral fat, it's taking up extra space. Now, also, visceral fat is the fat that is around your abdominal area. So when I'm talking about, it's this. It's this area here that a lot of times people are carrying a lot of extra added weight, and that visceral fat, when you carry weight around your vital organs, that is so damaging, and your organs cannot work for you properly. So that's why we can't stress it enough. That abdominal measurement, guys, get your abdominal measurement down, right around your belly button, a little bit below. When you know that when you are getting a trim kind of waist like that, your visceral fat is decreasing, you're building lean tissue, and now your organs underneath are not being bombarded. You're able to work efficiently. Now, okay, off to some questions. Guys, start typing in the chat box if you have questions. It's going to pop up for me. I'm going to start to go over some questions that's kind of come up. Now, when it comes down to your broth, this is gigantic. It comes up every single time. Broth is what we classify as a challenge-friendly exception. We need you to pick a low-sodium broth. I'm going to show you mine. Guys, can you see that there? I don't know if there's a glare from my computer. This is the one from Costco. It's the Kirkland brand low-sodium chicken broth. Now, I use that, okay, sorry, for the broth. Broth just needs to say low sodium because sodium, you'll notice we don't talk a lot about sodium during the challenge because a lot of your challenge-friendly foods, you're making it. If you are putting it together, you know what went in there. But when it comes down to broth, that's still one that has a ton of sodium added to it. So just pick a no sodium or a low sodium. That can be a beef, that can be a vegetable broth, that can be a chicken broth. We do not care. Anyways, this Kirkland brand, awesome. If your broth has a little bit of cane sugar added to, that is why we call it an exception. Just make sure it says low sodium and you're cool and you're good to go, challenge friendly. Now, for your broth, I love to cook my rice in my broth. I cook my quinoa in my broth, and I use my broth as like starting my sautés because the broth itself gives it a little bit of flavor. If you're just cooking your rice or you're cooking your lentils in water, it's not going to be very flavorful. That came from one of our chef challengers one time, and it really is, it's changed everything. Also, you can, if you make your own broth, I love that, make your own broth. Cook down your bones afterwards and make your broth, but you can put that into little, ice cube trays, freeze them, and then you can pop them out, and then when you're starting your sauté, you can start with your ice cubes, usually like 3 to 4, and then it decreases the amount of oil that you're using in your sauté. If you need to add a little bit of oil, add it at the end, so then you still get it for flavor, and you're not dousing your, you're not dousing your food in oil. So that's a really great question. What came up as a question here, as I'm like looking through, what would be what is my like most favorite snack, kind of go-to snack if I'm needing that little bit of a crunch? Guys, there is something that is at Costco that is called this Greek jalapeno yogurt dip. I don't know if you can see that. There's a glare, darn it. But anyways, Greek jalapeno yogurt dip is my absolute favorite. I'm going to try and see if you can see that in there. It's phenomenal. I use it as a dip, and I use it for a dip with this. This is my like go-to if I'm needing a crunch in the afternoon, are these bonito chips. So bonitos, this is the black bean variety, but bonitos are made with black beans. Phenomenal. So the amount of fiber and protein you get in those chips, I can't even tell you. I'm in love with those chips. I love them. So those chips with this dip, come on. You will never need another chip and dip again for the rest of your life. You're going to love it. Now, also with this, what I love is using this as in fajitas, or if you're making wraps, any chicken wraps, this goes awesome. Kids will eat this. So that's a really good tip if you have someone at home, a loved one, maybe a partner or a spouse that goes, I don't want to eat that challenge-friendly food. Serve them that. They will love that. Chips and dip, fantastic. Another question came up about what type of dates do we use? Just a sec. You can use any date, doesn't matter to me, but what I found that is pretty common at most grocery stores is this brand here. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm like all off and centered here. But anyways, these are my dates. You'll see, I'm going to open it up. These are pretty, they stay pretty moist. There you go. Also, you'll see in a lot of the recipes, you'll see something that says medjool dates. Those are awesome too. They're just bigger and they're sweeter. A lot of times they're a little bit more expensive, but definitely still a winner. These are dates that are separated. The pits are already removed. I have heard if you keep the pits in, it stays even more moist, but in the end, sometimes we're in a time crunch, and to take out the pits in your dates is a pain in my butt, just saying. But anyways, these dates are awesome. If you are going to be making any type of baked good, a lot of times you'll see a recipe that calls for date butter. If you look in the grocery store, you could look there for the next 10 billion days and you will never find it because they don't make it. If you want to be a Billy Challenge billionaire, make us a date butter and sell it, because that. Now, date butter, all it is condensed down dates and water cooked down. Now, if you don't have time to cook that down, it's almost like you're making a date jam. If you don't have time to cook it down, if you have a high-speed blender, like for me, I have a Ninja. If you have, you know, like a Vitamix or something that's a really high-powered blender, what you could do is take dates, put them with hot water on your counter, let them soak. You need them to get gummy. You need them to get gummy and soft. Once they're all gummy and soft, you're going to take those and then dump that into your blender. I mean, for me, I use it I've got like that Ninja, and it has the containers where you can make the smoothie on it. So I dump it right in there, the hot water and the dates together. I do about a half a cup of hot water to 1 cup of dates if I'm making it in that format, because you're not going to be cooking it down. So I don't want you to put a ton of water in there. Half a cup to 1 cup. And then you blend that whole darn thing in your little blender or your food processor, whatever. Add in a little bit of vanilla. There's your date butter. A question came up the other day, what's date paste? Date paste is just a little bit thicker, so add less water and you'll have a little bit thicker of a date paste. You can use that as sweetener in recipes. You could use it as, if you need a little bit of a sweetener to cut a salad dressing recipe, you can add a little bit of date paste to it and you are golden. You will love it. I can't even stress it enough. How do I know, here's a question. How do I know how can I tell if something is challenge friendly and I'm making the recipe? So what does it count for? The question came in, what do black bean brownies count for? Is it a grain or is it a protein choice? So guys, any recipe you are making, I hope this simplifies it in your brain. Whatever recipe you are making, whatever is the primary ingredient in there, meaning what has the most. So for the black bean brownies in your manual, I think Briar and I call them truffle brownies, something like that. You will see that the primary ingredient is black beans and eggs. That's the primary ingredient in there. Black beans is what? I know you're saying it at home right now. It's protein. And eggs are what? Say it out loud. Protein. Exactly. So that would be a little protein choice if you had them in the afternoon snack. Terrific. Now, when it comes to, say, things like maybe a muffin, maybe it was a muffin and the primary ingredient in there was 1.5 cups of spelt flour. Spelt is a grain. That would classify as a grain choice. So I hope that clarifies it. If you made a quinoa salad, that quinoa salad would count as a grain choice. And I hope that does make some sense to you when you're looking at what to count it as. Now, also, I'm seeing here, this is a good one. What about B-cell? Now, B-cell margarine, I'm not saying that it's horrid. I kind of am, but anyways, I would prefer you to have a coconut oil as a spread. If you needed a little bit of spread on something, I'd rather you have a coconut oil. When you look at something like B-cell, B-cell does not say hydrogenated. Now, guys, you know from our teachings, hydrogenated means no, never for the rest of your life. So back in the day, B-cell used to say hydrogenated vegetable oil. Now, B-cell these days, I don't even know if I'm saying that right. B-cell, B-cell, I don't even know. Anyways, to me, it says B-cell. This is the margarine. It says modified palm or palm kernel oil. Now, the word modified does not mean hydrogenated. My question is, when I look at palm kernel oil, or I look at oil, oil is solid at room temperature. So why are they getting it, or how? How are they solidifying that oil if it's sitting on the counter? That's weird. It should not be solid. So that's where I go, you know what, don't do it if you need a little bit of butter, but remember, butter's not a spread. So I would rather you not spread any of that, but that's just my story when it comes to Visceral, because that question came in the other day. And this is a good one. What about balsamic vinegar? I noticed it has 3 grams of sugar, but sugar is not listed in the ingredient list. What am I doing? Is it challenge friendly? Now, this goes back to the whole teaching. If it is in the ingredient list, anything that is food listed needs to be in your ingredient list. So if they added sugar, that's the only sugar that we care about is the extra added. So if you scan your ingredient list and go, oh, wow, no sugar added, it's because vinegar, or this particular balsamic, is made from grapes. Grapes have naturally occurring sugars. So that's where the sugar's coming from. Same thing if you were to look at pasta sauce, guys. This question comes up chronically. Pasta sauce, you'll pick it up off the shelf. It will say 6 grams of sugar. And you'll email and go, darn it, why is there, 6 grams of sugar in the classical pasta sauce and you said it's challenge friendly? It's because food has sugar, naturally occurring sugars. Tomatoes have sugar in them. We don't care. It's not the sugar in tomatoes. It goes back to my story about the carrots. Carrots are not why we are having a really health explosion of health problems these days. Is not because we ate a little bit of tomatoes or pasta sauce. So just look at the ingredient list. That will tell you what's added into it. Now, you are going to be logging points at the end of this week. The points, guys, the question of points comes up all the time. If you don't want to log points, you don't have to log points. This is just to kind of, if you find it helpful, if you find it motivating, you log your points. But when it comes to points, it is all or none. Oh, the question came in. What if I had 1 cheat that day? No, you lost your points. It's like you decide. And the reason why we do it in that manner is because I want you to make a conscious decision. So instead of just running to Starbucks and grabbing that muffin because you were hungry, go, no, I'm making that decision because I don't want to lose my points that day. Even though it is strictly on an honor system, it's just for your brain to kind of help you formulate new patterns. Because what we are trying to do, these 8 weeks are really set out to empower you for the rest of your life. That's why we teach this 24/7. It is our love, it's our passion to keep talking about this, because once you when your brain flips over and you're like, you know what, that makes sense, it's easier for you to continue. So the rest of these 8 weeks, that is what's really setting you up for success for the future. So afterwards, it's like, there's your challenge-friendly life begins. Right now, it's just really hardcore trying to wrap your brain around it and formulate new patterns, new habits that I swear to God will last your lifetime if you just keep giving into it. So that's a lot of information right now. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to show you. Oh, I can't remember what I was going to show you. I was going to my kitchen for something. Now I can't remember. Might have been coconut oil. Anyways, it's been a long webinar, guys. Thank you so much for sitting in. And just always remember, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. Thank you so much.